How to set up a real estate partnership. Hey, this is something that I have messed up completely and you won't want to do what I've done. So let's go through it and I'm going to show you how not to mess this up. In this video, we're going to talk about some red flags to look for. Second, we're going to talk about some things that you definitely want to define. And third, we're going to cover how to protect yourself and your business. In a partnership, you want to define roles and responsibilities. That stuff needs to be spelled out early on. There needs to be clear communication. Is somebody bringing the money and someone else is bringing in and doing the work? Is there a combination of both? If it is, who's responsible for what? These things have to be spelled out. Also, is there, or if there is a discrepancy or a dispute, how do you guys settle these things? These are the things that need to be mapped out early and ahead of time. You do not want to get tied up at the end of a project with money sitting there that you can't access because there's a dispute about it. When I'm investing or I'm taking on a partner now, what I'm looking for, are they a passive investor? Because that's typically what I'm looking for, or a passive partner. I'd rather run the entire show. If they want to participate in it financially, great. What we don't need is somebody with a vision where they're going to build a Spanish style house and the other person wants to build a contemporary house. You got to get on the same page of what you guys are going to accomplish or what you guys want to accomplish and who's the visionary behind it. There's general partners and there's limited partners. You want to make sure that you're outlining what the partnership is, and again, the roles and responsibilities of each person in that partnership. You make this partnership, or the partnership that you have, can consist of more than 2 or even more than 3 people. It just depends. You could have several people in this, and you want to make sure the more people that are in it, the more clear all of these things are. Get everything in writing, especially when you're new. You want to make sure that when you have an LLC, which is probably what you're going to be holding these properties in, that you have an operating agreement. In that operating agreement, it's going to spell out who's responsible for what. When going through this and working with and trying to figure out if a partnership is right for you, some of the key things that I look for is if something's not meshing well in the beginning and maybe there's some flags going off or alarms, that's usually a sign of future things to come. If I have issues early on, that's usually a sign of things to come. I want to pay attention to that, and usually I back out of the deal before I get into it. I've had deals where people at the very end come in and want to renegotiate the deal. I'd rather just walk away from it at that point. It's not even worth it. This is why now I spell these things out and don't get taken advantage of later. Finding the right partner is critical. You want to make sure that this is something that you could work with this person, and the expectations of what they're looking for and what you're looking for are set up front. So you want to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of your partner. If you're strong where they're weak, great. If you both are headstrong as far as like maybe coming up with the vision of the property, there might be some friction there. Make sure that these things are fleshed out early on. Get things in writing, jot them down, take notes, send them back and forth until you've fleshed out a complete process and agreement with that partner. So things that have come back to bite me is maybe not identifying, the exit price exactly. Like, what happens if we don't meet that exit price? Do we end up holding that as a rental? These things have come back to bite me where I needed that money for an additional flip and my partner just wanted to hold it as a rental. So these are things that, again, have come back to bite me. And if you don't address these things, or if who's got say on the final price, if someone does make an offer, because sometimes if a market shifts and you didn't take the one offer, now you're chasing the market down. Just things to take note of or make note of and address early on, so you're not addressing it after you've done all the work. The more stuff that you could get in writing, the better. It just ends up like there's great operating agreements out there. Look at them. Ask some of the people that you're networking with, these other investors, what agreements that they have. Take a look. The more comprehensive, sometimes the better, because it's going to address some of these little nuances that you're not even thinking of in the beginning, such as if there's a dispute. How do you handle that? Do you go through mediation first, or are you going straight to court? So a couple things that I like to look for when I'm picking a partner, I want to make sure that they've done in our typically pretty savvy investors, right? Because I'm trying to grow that relationship with them and we could do more deals. A lot of times people will bring me deals and want me to do the project, and they'll bring the money typically and we'll split the profits. Understand your strengths and understand their strengths and be able to work with those. Before I get into the next tips of how to find a partner, click on the link to subscribe to get more information like this daily. Early on, what I learned was to get a good legal document. After I took a couple headshots, I was able to get a good LLC that protected me and my investment in going into business with partners. Now that I've been doing this for a long time, I have established relationships with people where a common understanding and we do good business together early on. And with seasoned people, you still want to make sure all these things are spelled out. You want to keep this process simple. You don't want to get bogged down to where you lose the deal because you're overcomplicating everything. Keep it simple. Work with a real estate attorney. They've marked these things up and done these a million times or a lot. Let them figure it out. You guys just agree on it and keep it moving. You want to keep the process simple, but you want to also address all the concerns in pretty layman terms. Basic. Keep it simple. If you like this video, you're going to love the next video. How does seller financing work for real estate?